Welcome back. Today I am in the studio and I thought we could have a chat while I work on some paintings. So grab a coffee, which I already have some coffee. Grab a coffee or a tea and we'll just have a little morning chat in the studio. Yeah, good to see you. So good to see you. I am, for those that are curious, I am working on 4 separate paintings, and they're all still lifes, or they will be. I know it doesn't look like that at all, and we won't get very far today because this will be kind of short. But what I've done here is, these are watercolor paper, and I painted a ground on it, and then I collaged over it tissue paper that I have painted, just as the background. You won't see much of this in the end painting, I don't think. All I know is I've been thinking about this for weeks, and so I felt like I just had to do it. So there's 3 of those that I'm going to work on. And then this is part of a series that is teapots, and they look like this. I don't know if you can see that or not. I'll move that there. They look like this. And there's, I think, 6 in the series now. So this is the last one. I say that, I don't know. I'm very much love these teapot paintings, so I may do more of them. But that's the other one, also on paper. I've been enjoying painting on paper because it's pretty freeing. It's not very expensive. It's just watercolor paper, and you know, it doesn't have to be perfect, and it's all just experiments anyway. So I am working on my challenge of going outside, which I think you know. And it's challenging. It's very challenging. I didn't realize how much resistance I would have to making that change, but I do have a lot of resistance, like a lot of resistance. And I'm interested in that. I'm interested in the fact that I have so much resistance to something I want to do. I want to do it. And yet still I am not doing it. Not doing it in the way that I had wanted to do it. And so I find that so fascinating. It's so fascinating to me that even though we may want to do something, we put up our own blocks, our own resistance to doing that thing, right? And I think that's interesting. I think that we are, change is hard. Change is really hard. And I think that just giving myself some grace to know that I'm trying a thing that is new to me and not easy. So I have done it. If you're following along on my posts on here, I have gone out, failed, not done well, just been frustrated by it. And so I'm still doing it. I'm still going out. And the whole reason for it is sunlight on your eyes fixes your circadian rhythm, which is sort of like the humanness of it. You know, animals have the same thing. And Andrew Huberman, who is an ophthalmologist at Stanford and a big YouTuber and just a speaker all over, I think, he has done a lot of research on this, and that it helps you sleep better. So getting that early morning sunlight directly on your eyes helps you sleep better. And as a woman in my 50s, good sleep is a really big deal. So I'm still working on it. I am still working on the challenge. Yeah. Okay, so I've got this. So what I've used is, by the way, it's just a graphite pencil that I got locally, and I like it. You'll never see that. You'll never see any of the graphite. And so, yeah, I'm gonna get this started, and I'll be right back. So I paint in acrylic for the most part, and I try to paint as loosely as possible. That's always my goal, is to be not exact. I'm not ever looking for realism. I'm just looking for shape and texture and color. Those are the things that interest me. My other work, my commercial work, is on the computer and is so sharp and straight. So this has been really freeing. So that's kind of what you see. You're seeing someone who's painting, trying to paint as loosely as possible. In fact, I use this paintbrush that is like, like a kid, it's a Princeton. It's probably a student grade, but it is so rough and messy. And I love that. That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for those marks. And so anyway, a little bit of my painting process. So I've been thinking about two things this week, and I can't stop thinking about them, and I thought you might be interested too. When I was meeting with my therapist this week, we were going over an issue. Anyway, and he said several times that when you are your best self, you are curious. So if you can get into curiosity, rather than sticking on a point, right? Rather than being stubborn or fixed, trying to stay curious with someone about their experience or why they feel the way they feel, and yourself, staying curious with yourself. And so I've really thought about this, about like how I can stay more curious, less set on how something should be, and more interested in how it is and what it could possibly be, what the possibilities are. And so that idea of staying curious. So I've really been thinking about that and how we might stay curious in our own lives. And so I want to bring more of that. I will probably make a Post-it note of that and put it on, on my desk, and put it on, different places so that I see it, because I really want to see it, and I want to stay, I think I want to stay curious. So it just came up over and over. And if you can be curious about something, you are less, that feeling when you're talking to someone and you're not agreeing. This is obviously where this happens a lot. You're not agreeing. You have a way and they have a way, and you kind of butt against each other. And there is no way in life. Like everyone has different ways of doing things or thinking about things, and that is okay. And if you can stay curious about why they feel a certain way, or stay curious about how they might be feeling, or stay curious about where they are, how they're experiencing something, I think that we can lessen some of our own anxiety and our own frustration and our own, fixed thoughts on something. Anyway, so that was interesting. So stay curious. I think that's just a good lesson for life, right? Just a good lesson to stay curious. So I like that. And then the second thing, I was with a group of friends, and we were talking about how we want to live in a society where we're all working to get to yes. And I can't stop thinking about it. So use it in this. So this is the way that I was thinking about this. Is like, when your kid wants something, anything, and your first inclination, because you are tired or you, whatever reason, you don't want to do whatever it is that they're cooking up, right? And so the first inclination is to say no. It's just to say no, we're not doing that. No. That's not how it's going to be. Or it can be, this can be if you have staff or employees, you work in a business, or you have a team, or a customer comes to you and says, could we possibly, might we, could we do this? Or what about this? Or, instead of the first reaction, and I think I often get this, is no, because I immediately in my head think I have to do that thing. They're asking for a thing and I have to do it. So my first inclination is no. And that's not great, because that's not really what I'm thinking anyway. It's just that first initial trigger is no, no. And so if in my mind I could instead start saying, how do we get to yes, right? How do we get to yes? I think there could be real change that happens. And if we could become as people who say, well, how can we get on to yes on this? How we get so that we're close enough together that the thing can move forward, right? Let's get to yes. And I want to hold that in my heart, and I want to move through this next season, whatever this is. I want to move through this season in a way that says, yes, let's get to yes. Let's get to trying that. Let's see how I can empower you to do it. Let's see how we can work on that together. Let's see how collaboration might work, whatever that is, but not that first initial thought, which is no. So that's the second thing. And I can't stop thinking about it. And I'm just so lit up about the idea of moving through life with an idea of, well, how can we get to yes? How can we? So I don't know, would you use that in your own life? Is that something that resonates with you? Do you have that initial reaction of no, like that stubborn, like no, which does feel really childlike? It feels like the my toddler self is saying, oh, that doesn't seem safe, or that doesn't seem like, I don't know all the variables, I don't know all the things, in my childlike mind. And so the answer is just like no. And so trying to move past that, I just think would be so empowering. And yeah, what about you? Is that interesting? I mean, is that how you live your life? Is that how you want to live your life? I think that would be so great. Just so much better. So you'll notice I use these little yogurt cups. That's how I mix my paint. I'm never mixing a ton at a time. I'm only mixing a little bit to use. And I primarily use Nova Color paint. They're out of California. It's an acrylic, often used by people who do murals, actually. But Nova Color paint, and then the other paint that I use is golden paint. Primarily, that's what I primarily use. I just like the colors, and I like the way it goes on. So that's the choice. You have lots of choices as an artist of what supplies to use, and so I'm that's just what I use. That's what I choose to use. I like it. I like it a lot. And I like we eat a lot of yogurt, and I like the little cups because I can mix up just a little bit of paint, and it's not, they would be they're recycled anyway. It's not, I'm not using something, I don't know, that's super permanent. The other thing I like about it is, so acrylic paint is plastic, so it's a thing I think about for the environment, and so I don't like to really put it down the drain. So I feel better that it's like in this, and then this gets thrown away. I can't recycle it once it's got the paint in it, but at least the paint hasn't gone into the water. So things you think about as an artist, things you think about. So the other thing I was thinking about this week, by the way, my coffee. The other thing I was thinking about was I was listening to Fresh Air on NPR. Terry Gross interviewed Questlove, who I just admire so much. He is the co-founder or co-band leader of The Roots, and they play on The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon. And I've just really admired him as an artist and as a person and as a writer and a creative. He's just really, really something. Anyway, he was talking about how in the hip hop culture, which I'm not a hip hop person, but I found this really like a sad moment, but also a liberating moment. So he was talking about in the hip hop culture that the hip hop artists, men, are not living past, they're dying really young, either from violence or from addiction or from, depression, internal violence or external violence, or so many things are contributing to their deaths. There's very few hip hop artists that are living into their 60s or 70s or 80s. And that's, Black men for the most part. That's Black men. And it made me realize, like, we have a culture that is not supporting Black men, but we're also a culture that really probably doesn't support the mental health of men at all, like men in general. And so then Questlove on the interview was talking about his own mental health journey. He's been in therapy for, I think he said 23 years, and he has a whole morning routine that he does. And he has, in the last year, he's been an artist and in the public eye since the 90s, but just now he's really talking about that. And it's terrible. What's happening in that culture is not great, but also my heart is so warmed by men talking about their own mental health. And I think we're in a whole new age of that, of all of us understanding that we're humans humaning, doing things, trying our very best, having had either childhood traumas or life events that our minds weren't able to cope with, or maybe we were just born with a mind that works in the way that it does. And those wounds, the things that happen to us, and those things need to be worked out. And the way to work that out is through therapy. It's the way we have now. That's what we do. Anyway, it just felt so good to me to hear this, very popular Black man say that he's in therapy for 23 years. That just normalizes it for everybody, And that's a great age to live in. I mean, we are in a great age for that. I am hopeful with things like that what the ripple that has is that the men that he's talking about are the men who are entering into the hip hop culture, will see him as a role model and also go to get the help that they need, right? That's what we want. And I think the more we normalize that we need a team of people to help us human, I think that we will be better people. It'll be slow to get there, but that's where we are as a culture, and I'm excited for it. I am so here for it. I love this. I grew up with my mom was bipolar, and so mental health was always talked about in the family, but it was also hidden. It was a hidden thing. It's not something you shared outside the family. It was shameful, right? That's a shameful thing. And I love that we're in this space where that's not shameful. That's just how she was wired. And she got the help she needed. And, that should have been celebrated instead of hidden. And I'm just really happy that that's where we are. Yeah, I am. So I don't know. I'll if I can find the link, I'll put it in the description so you can hear the interview, because he's just a lovely person and I love to hear him talk. And he goes over some really pretty interesting things about hip hop if you like music. So that's kind of fun too. Yeah. So I try to work in the studio. Oh gosh. A little bit every day, a little bit. Some days, obviously, there's more work done than others. I work part-time, and so, and I'm a speaker nationally, so I'm sometimes traveling, so that hinders working in the studio. But I try. I'll give you my journey on painting. I didn't start until I was 50, and I have paintings sold and people buy them, and it's kind of an amazing thing, actually. Sometime if you're interested, I'll probably do a little thing about that and like show you more of the work and yeah. I don't know how well I can do this, talk and paint. I'm not used to it. I am usually quiet. I have headphones on usually, and I'm listening to music. And so this will be new. I'll try to do this as often as possible though, because I want to practice. I want to practice doing it. So thanks for coming along and being part of this practice. This is just early stages, and maybe the next one there will be more to this one or one of the others that I'm working on, and you can follow along on some of this work and and as I finish it, I'll definitely show it. I'll definitely show it. But thanks for visiting me in my studio, and let's work to stay curious. Let's work to getting to yes, and let's celebrate those that are encouraging mental health. And I just really, all those three things just really light me up, and I'm excited. I'm excited about this and sort of this next phase and what I want to do and how I want to navigate life, right? And so yeah. Thanks for coming to the studio, and I'm gonna paint some more, and we'll see you next time.